out of the bones and revealing to families how their loved ones died.
You give them in 20 minutes the answers they've been asking for 32 years.
In the first episode of Due to the Bones, we talk to the scientists in Argentina and the relatives who've been affected by their work.
Kind of comforting, but for me it's also upsetting. So it's a bittersweet sensation.
Tuesday at 12:30 and 18:30 GMT.
Coming up in World Football, we hear from the Bayern Munich coach Carlo Ancelotti. He'll be looking ahead to the Champions League final and chatting about the challenges ahead for Bayern. Mexico City's famous Azteca Stadium is 15 years old. We reflect on some of the many iconic sporting moments that have taken place there. And we hear from the Northern Ireland coach Michael O'Neill as he prepares his team of underdogs for their first ever European Championship. That's World Football after the latest BBC News.
BBC News with Eileen Q. More than 100 international medical experts have published a letter urging the World Health Organization to consider whether the Olympic Games, due to open in August, should be postponed or moved from Rio de Janeiro because of the Zika virus threat. The experts from over a dozen countries said there was a clear threat to global public health. United Nations officials say hundreds of families have managed to escape the besieged Iraqi city of Fallujah. They were able to flee on Friday with the help of government forces that are attempting to recapture the area from Islamic State militants. Supplies of food are so low that the UN says it's received reports of people dying of starvation. The cross-party British Parliamentary Committee has accused both sides in the referendum campaign on European Union membership of making inconsistent and unqualified claims. The committee says those in favour of remaining in the EU are misleading people when they say 3 million jobs are dependent on membership. And it says the Vote Leave campaign is wrong to argue that the UK would be $500 million a week better off if it left the EU. The International Olympic Committee says 23 more athletes have tested positive for doping in retested samples from the 2012 Olympics in London. The IOC said the athletes were from 5 sports and of 6 different nationalities. A court in Argentina is due to deliver its verdict on 17 former military officers accused of taking part in the infamous Operation Condor, a secret agreement between some of South America's most brutal regimes in the 1970s to hunt down and kill political opponents. And the American surgeon, credited with developing an emergency anti-choking technique named after him, has used it to save a life at the age of 96. Henry Heimlich told his local newspaper, the Cincinnati Enquirer, that he used the technique on an 87-year-old woman in his retirement home who was choking. That's the latest at BBC News.
Hello and welcome to World Football on the BBC World Service. I'm Alan Green. Coming up, Bayern Munich coach Carlo Ancelotti talks about life, philosophy and the rise of the superstar manager.
Premier League will be, as usual, a fantastic competition, but people go to the stadium to watch the players, not to watch the manager, so and you have to pay to go in the press conference.
We wish a happy 50th birthday to Mexico City's famous Azteca Stadium, the venue for some of football's most iconic matches.
That moment, which the Brazilian people celebrate the victory, celebrate my goal, was a wonderful moment in my life. The champion of the world.
And we hear from the coach of Northern Ireland as his players prepare for their first ever European Championship.
We're a country with less than 40 professional players to choose from, and it's we have a 23-man squad to choose, so it shows the challenge that we face.
But first, Carlo Ancelotti is predicting a bright future for Zinedine Zidane. He believes Zidane could become as much of a legend in the dugout as he was on the pitch. On Saturday, Zidane's Real Madrid take on Atletico Madrid in the Champions League final. It's a repeat of the 2014 final in which Ancelotti led Real Madrid to their 10th European title. As far as youth club Bayern Munich is concerned, Ancelotti says they've already finished their transfer dealings for next season. He also admits that European clubs are fearful of the increased television revenues which will soon line the pockets of their English rivals. But he began by talking about his unusually relaxed approach to coaching.
My character comes from my father and my family. When I was a kid, from my father, from my mother, from the place where I lived. I live in a really quiet and peaceful family, and I think for this reason I built this character, and I will show this character in my relationship with the other people.
Have you ever lost your coolness in a dressing room?
Sometimes, yes, a lot of time I think. And I shout to the players. The funny thing is that I'm not able to shout in a different language, so I shout only in Italian. And the player, when I speak in Italian, they know that I am upset.
Two of the players whom you've coached are Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Cristiano Ronaldo, who are two of the biggest personalities who are playing at the moment. Did you have to change your management style for them? How did you go about handling them?
Absolutely no. Players like Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic, there are top talent, but also there are the most professional players, more serious players. So it's really easy to manage them. You don't have to change nothing. They are the easiest player that I ever met in my career. Really? Yeah, it's true. You don't have to tell them nothing. Just to leave them to play. I found really both really unselfish, and the image that they have outside me is not true. It's not true.
It's the Champions League final on Saturday. You were the Real Madrid coach the last time Real and Atletico met in the final 2 years ago. What's your memories about that match and about the occasion?
A beautiful memory because it was a difficult game. We were able to equalize the game at the last minute and we won the Champions League on the extra time. It was a really tough game, but the memory was fantastic.
Did you think that you were going to lose that game?
I always thought that we could win that game also because I know that until the referee whistle everything can happen. And so we were lucky of course to score at the last minute, but at the end we deserve to win.
How do you see this season's Champions League final? Do you think it will be a very different match to the one that you had 2 years ago?
It's not so different, I think, because the style is more or less the same. Real Madrid with Zidane has the same style, and also Simeone has the same style that when they reached the final 2 years ago. So the game will be the same. A really tough game for both teams, and the verdict is unpredictable.
What about Zinedine Zidane? What kind of a coach will he turn out to be, do you think?
Yeah, I think he has charisma, personality. His first season, in 6 months, he had a fantastic job. He reached the final of the Champions League, so I think he will have a fantastic future as a coach.
He's already a legend at Real Madrid, but to win the Champions League as a coach as well as a player, what would that do for his profile?
I don't know. He's a legend, and he will be a legend for